This is not a safe space with Americans.
It never is. It never is. Anyway,
Dude, it's not a safe space in America. You think it's safe outside? Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I was thinking about like how I was going to introduce you guys because the initial thought was like, oh, two of my favorite people. And then I would say like one of your names as the third person, but based on what's been happening in the chat so far, I don't know if it's safe to call any of you guys my favorite.
Okay,
people.
I'm the Portuguese. You can single me out. It's fine. I'm used to it.
Anyway, welcome everybody to another episode of the Roundtables. I'm Josh Toshi Howard. I'm joined here by three people. I got right above me, David Purcell, recently off of the back of... I didn't even bother to put the name of your event because I cared that little about it. What was the event you won this weekend?
I hate that I don't remember either. The birthday party.
Yeah, that's what it was. Like Victor's 50th Crusade or something. That's
yeah,
what it was.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Anyway, this guy went to WCW. Up in the top right, we got Gustavo de Sousa of many more names than I am willing to remember at any given time. How you doing today, Gustavo?
Good.
Now, what time is it over there?
1 a.m.
1 a.m. Why were you outside right before this?
No.
No comment.
Totally fair.
As one does.
I guess that's one of the privileges of living over in the UK. And then over on my right, we got Wesley St, Hines, a.k.a. Nemo the Fish, a.k.a. the person who's been on this channel more than everybody else combined. How you doing today, Wesley?
I'm doing good. This attachment has been a fun change of pace because I'm not a big fan of like tank combined guard, and this attachment kind of lets me do the bit of both worlds.
Totally fair. Now, before we go too far, I don't know what the final number was, but I really wanted to start this off by saying this panel has a combined total of like 50 games. I think it's closer to about 30 altogether, and it's really important for everybody who's watching to understand that David and I were both at GTs this last week, and David, I think, has played one. I have played one, and that means the other, 25 games were played by these two. So what's the actual count for you, Gustavo?
I got 12.
12, Nemo?
I think I'm at 18.
18. So yeah, there we go. 32 games all together between everybody coming up from this. Let's go ahead and start getting into it. We're going to start with David, who has had one game, and therefore his opinion matters the least. What was the initial impression of this detachment?
Yeah, glad my opinion matters the least. That is just the correct default state.
Mm-hmm.
It felt almost exactly like combined, but I was also just playing my combined list. The horses were a little bit better at killing whatever they touched, but they already did that. The tanks were a little bit less at shooting whatever they shot, but they already did that. The biggest change is the Kasrkin were significantly better.
Wow.
They actually killed rhinos instead of me praying that they kill the rhino. So that was the biggest takeaway from the game.
Nice. Now, Gustavo, we're going to come to you next. What are the initial, just some quick thoughts on where this detachment sits?
Yeah, exactly the same. The Kasrkin are so good in this. Also Scions. They've been really good for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if other people liked it. But
yeah,
it's basically the same.
Nice. Nemo?
I think what a lot of people have been realizing with it is unlike our other detachments we've had, it's fit this really nice melting pot category of guard that I think people are going to like. I think the fact that the entire guard community has been like, I like artillery. This is the Baneblade detachment. I like combined arms is a really good place to be. If someone's like newer to the army as well, if you're just like, I want to play guard, what's it look like? You can probably just slap whatever you want into this detachment, and it's not going to feel bad.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be for a detachment.
Yeah, well, that makes sense to me. I mean, I felt pretty good. It just felt like other combined arms in a lot of ways, so you can kind of do a little bit of anything that you want. Let's go ahead and get into the details real quick. I'm going to go ahead and read through the rules, come to you guys real quick, and we'll try and do this fairly fast because I think everybody who's watching this video has already read the rules for themselves. But we've got off the whole thing. If you give someone an order, they reroll ones to hit for, I think it's both shooting and in melee, and then if the target that you're attacking is on an objective, you also reroll wounds of 1. That's pretty good. I'm not going to get too much. It's a 16% damage increase all the time, and then if you are rerolling ones to wound as well, it's about like a 35% damage increase. It's just a lot more damage against every target in the game. It is slightly less than lethals if you were wounding on 5s, but otherwise it's better all the time. And then the other part of this is, of course, all of our officers have a +1 order from what they initially had on the sheet. All right, let's go ahead and get into some of the fun stuff. Gustavo, as the one who has played probably more Bullgryn than anybody else, we got the Abhuman detail. You can give this to a commissar. It allows you to join commissars and or join Ogryn keyword units and issue orders to them. What are the thoughts on this? I imagine you've already played a bunch of re-rolling ones Bullgryn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good. Like Bullgryn are actually a damage piece now
Mhm.
because they can pull up to a bunch of Marines and just kill them. Also, the OC is very relevant because just makes stealing objectives from Bullgryn and command squads really hard because you can just snap to it plus OC wherever you want. So it's definitely been like on the cards for my list
Yeah.
having the Bullgryn package.
How close to an auto take do you think this one is? Because I think a lot of people look at this and was like,
I don't think it's an auto take just by virtue of the fact that you have so many options that are good. So you don't have to go the Bullgryn way, but you could. Why not? Up to you.
And notably, there's one other data sheet that's super slept on that I've pushed for a long time that's really good, which is our
okay,
boy the Ogryn bodyguard has the Ogryn keyword.
that's
Yeah,
true.
I was playing
Notably,
with a
if
bunch
you're
of.
a solo Cadian command squad Ogryn bodyguard enjoyer, you can now order those.
Yeah, I was playing with
Yeah.
two of those and then two Bullgryn, and the flexibility of having OC wherever I want or +1 hit wherever I want is so good. In so many power fist attacks.
That one
But what
little
about the
med pack
Nork?
on a the Nork, no.
No.
I would say that one little med pack on a one-man revive is now 6 OC, which is the exact breakpoint you usually need to flip an objective.
Yep. Sorry, Aspect Warriors. It's no longer good enough. Yeah, this one seems pretty good. Kind of like you said, it's all around pretty decent. I'm going to come over to David because seems to be up his alley. The Aquilin Eye, you have to give it to an Astromilitarum officer. Each time you select an order for the bearer to issue, you can also select the order below. Target weak spot. Each time a model in this unit makes a range attack that targets an enemy unit within 12 inches, improve the AP of that attack by 1.
Yeah, so the math on this one gets really weird. It's like 0 to 1 AP is almost no value into a lot of targets. It's like a Space Marine in cover, a tank in cover, and it does actual nothing. And then on the other end of the spectrum, on like my Melt is now AP 5, they had a 3 up, who cares? So you need to be putting it on units that are in that sweet spot, like 1 to 2, great, 2 to 3, great, 3 to 4, most of the time good, but some things are like 3 up, 4 up. So don't put it on your demolishers. Don't put it on if you're going to take a bunch of las guns. But if you're in that sweet mid spot, like a bunch of Kasrkin, a bunch of plasma, then it's great. The other weird thing you need to think about with taking this is it's squadron or regiment. There's not a way in this detachment that I remember to give squadron orders to regiment, regiment orders to squadron. So you really need to think about, are we going tanks with AP, like Adorn loves an AP boost, or are we going Kasrkin with AP? There's no way to give it to both. Unless we want to bring up, can Kasrkin self-order this order, which no one's going to ever let you do.
We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. Any other thoughts here, Gus, Nemo? Just
The
good.
majority of the math that people have is take aim does tend to usually beat this order out, which is not a good thing either. However, if you're a fan of that like Nassim combined arm style list that we saw at like WTC of like the triple double chimera with Katachan in it, that uses this order really well because going from AP 0 to 1 on ignores cover is super relevant. Giving effectively 4 famers +1 AP is probably one of the most efficient orders that unit can ever get.
Yeah, that was the best use when I tested it. But it was like, don't need to have it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think there's a real argument for the chem cannon on a Hellhound now because
Ooh.
AP3 no cover damage 2 will actually pick up 5 Marines.
Yeah.
I don't think the Chem Cannon ignores cover.
It does not.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's still going to look at a unit of 5 Marines and kill almost all of them, which is what I care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other ones who love it are the Krieg heavy weapon teams. The AP1 is the only weak part of them. Getting those to AP2 no cover kills everything in the game, and everyone always forgets their 18-inch range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do have to be within 12.
Yeah, I think you also need to be justifying in your list about like 400 points of torrent or high AP shooting that needs the AP before you can really justify at this point. Because again, like a 20-point enhancement is actually kind of a high opportunity cost for guard. It's usually a third of a 10-man of battle line.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna come right on back to you, Nemo, because we got the next one. Again, same thing, has to be on an infantry officer this time, but each time a range attack targets this unit until those attacks are resolved, models in this unit have the stealth ability. This feels very recon to me. What are your thoughts on it?
I hate this one. And on paper it's not bad, but again, in my mind, once you get to the 20-ish point range for enhancements, it's got to be decent for guard at least. But the main issue with this guy is it's infantry officer. I'd love to throw this on tanks, but the reality is when you're talking the chain of modifiers, obviously there's some variance. So I'm not going to get into the math of it. So if you're like, he's wrong, I know I'm wrong. But for the most part, -1 to hit is worse than -1 to wound, which is worse than -1 to save, which is worse than -1 to damage, right? Like being -1 damage is really good, and then it gets worse the further down you chain you go, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather just have +1 save. Most of the time, I'd rather just be +1 save. The big unit that I would not have this case with is Ursula, who can have both. But Ursula isn't a unit that wants to be putting themselves in a spot where she needs to be having -1 save because she's getting shot at, right? When my Ursula unit shoves, she's +1 to hit, +1 attacks. She's almost never going defensive on the turn she shoves. So I'm not a fan of this enhancement, really.
Yeah. I mean, Gus, you looked like you had like something to say there.
I tried to put it on armored sentinels and it was really bad.
Well, we'll go.
Naturally.
I do appreciate that. We got one more, and I think this one is probably the weakest one. Laud Haler, Astra Militarum officer model only. Each time you select a unit for this officer model to issue an order to, that unit can be within 12 inches instead of within 6. David, is there any reason to ever take this, or we're just adding a command squad?
If you play Breed, Acadian Command Squad, and a Castellan, and you accidentally forget to like bring 2 units Acadians, you can put this on the Castellan and then have him pop in and give 3 orders at 12 inches. So
Sick.
if you really, really need 3 orders at the wrong time,
At the
that's
wrong
a cute
time.
way to do it.
If this was like
if you
5 points, you'd take it, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's just-
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah,
one of those like
almost
I
all-
couldn't afford a command squad, so like here's my budget command squad, man. But
You're like, I can afford Nork and the enhancement, but not the command squad and the enhancement, right? So you gotta take Nork and the enhancement. Yeah.
all right. So with those enhancements, I want to come to talk about one of the elephants on the wall, aka David, and his crazy version of rules reading. David, do you want to explain to us the argument for why Kasrkin can give themselves these orders?
Sure, I'll have the entire internet hate me for this. So the argument that I don't think will hold up anywhere is the Kasrkin ability just says they get an order. It doesn't say anything in reference to voice of command. So theoretically, the list of possible orders that exist in the game went from 6 to 8 with these 2 new ones. Nothing says they can't. Nothing says they can. The only evidence that it might work is Brood Brothers, which just kind of shows that like Kasser can just make orders appear out of the ether. It has nothing to do with them being part of the army rule. I can already tell Nemo's mad at me.
I agree, but
What was that, Nemo?
I think from a quick like raw rules as written reading of it, because as soon as you said it, I pulled it up and I was like, no, I think it's there. I think clearly not intended, but I do think if you made that rules as written argument in a rules as written tournament circuit, they tell you can.
Yeah.
I support it until I'm told no.
No.
All the guard players being like, yeah, Creed's free stratagems once per turn. The app says so
That's
right
what-
here, man. It's there.
Oh,
Or this
God.
FAQ that clearly says it doesn't work that way.
Being told no will probably happen like 5 minutes into me trying to do this at a GT.
Yeah, as soon as Josh Roberts learns that it existed, just gone, just like completely
FAQ.
removed. Oh, you guys have been rolling 2 dice for your Voxcasters? Sorry, we're back down to 1. I understand the rules as written argument. I do not expect that this will survive a single FAQ as soon as Games Workshop knows that this argument exists, but we'll see. For now, I would recommend for people who are interested on the internet, firstly, ask your TO before you get to the event for this one, because if your TO says yes, like I've had TOs in the past that said, yeah, Kasrkin can double move, and just move 12 inches normally, like, great, but most TOs are probably going to tell you no, so just kind of keep that one in mind, and do ask that one before you get to the event instead of being told no afterwards. All right, let's go ahead and get into the stratagems a little bit. Gustavo, I think this one, you already mentioned it. Snap to it. 1 CP at the start of any phase, an Astra Militarum officer unit from your army. Your unit's officer model can issue an order as if it were your command phase. Thoughts on this one?
It's the best strat in the detachment, I think. It just means you order swap whenever you want without going through any hoops. Like you don't have to bring guns ghost anymore. You can just do it whenever you want. And your opponent has to play around all the order swap possibilities, because if they fail to see one of them and you just go, okay, I'll just do it. That's it.
Yeah. Now, I do want to ask, someone who's already been playing a lot of the games, there's been another discussion about this rule because the inspired command during the index had an FAQ that said, inspired command does not require you to be banking an order for like per battle round. Have you been playing this as needing to bank an order or giving you an additional one?
So because there is that precedent, I've just been playing it as a given additional one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've played Combine like that for 2 years. No one has ever told me to save an order.
Yeah. Nemo, have you been doing the same thing?
Yeah, I think that's the correct interpretation too.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I'm gonna do is if anyone tells me I can't, I'll start having my Kasrkin issue a Quillen's Eye. That's what I'll start doing.
Fair, fair. We will find another rule to break. I think it's interesting. I think that is probably one of the fastest like FAQ things that could potentially nerf this detachment if it's needed is changing that. But I am also of the opinion that until we are told otherwise, you don't need to bank orders because we have the precedent of inspired command where they said we didn't need to. But is something that's good. David, do you have anything to add to stratagem? Because I think it is one of the ones that I found myself using most turns.
Just that it is any phase, unlike Inspired Command. So, like, theoretically, you can spend 5 CP to issue 5 orders in your opponent's turn if you just want to, like, go insane and hypothetically give 8 total units stealth. If you took that other one, you could just stealth everywhere, or if you want to, like, fix bayonets, you can switch off take cover and switch to fix bayonets, or a bunch of random nonsense. So it offers some
Also,
cool stuff, but good.
I was gonna say it also allows for like Ursula's castle to be a pseudo Guns Ghost a lot of the time, right? Where like you do the move double swap. Is you just like start the shooting phase for your order swap, and then like if you want to do like Rough Fighters or Bullgryn, or if you have like anything else in her unit that could want to swap to bayonets, just hey, start at the fight phase, swap, and then all of a sudden, she should free strat and farm a CP between those two stratagems. And so she is just a pseudo Guns Ghost unit if you want to save on the cost of Ghost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That has been the main use for me. Bullgryn and Kasrkin. When they go in, Kasrkin get the second order from 24-inch away for free from Purcell. And Bullgryn, since the commissar only has 2 orders, any other units you can do the snap to whenever you need.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Let's go ahead to no retreat. We're going to come to Nemo for this one. During your command phase, 1 CP, 1 Astra Militarum unit that has been affected by duty and honor order. If your unit's within range, this is sticky. I'm not going to read the rest of it. It is sticky. Nemo, thoughts on this one? Have you been using it a lot?
So no, but I think it's because I am willing to assume I have the meaner interpretation of it, which is this has the your command phase, not end of your command phase timing. Which using like Vanguard Marines as an example, theirs is also command phase, not end of the command phase, and theirs is a affirmative. You cannot use it top of 1 to sticky because you don't hold the objective until end of turn 1. No, sorry, end of turn 1's command phase. And so it's not super relevant because we're playing Cadians, right? We're playing things that sticky anyways, and we can't use the stratagem to like scam a Scout Sentinel sticky, turn 1 on the center, and screw off, right? But it is really nice when you get to those like turn 4, turn 5 areas, and like you and your opponent have just beat the crap out of each other. You're both down to like 500 points, and you really need this Rogel Dorn to just slam something. The stratagem's great there. It sucks that you have to issue duty and honor, but as we just talked about with Snap to It, you have a really good way to get off of that as well.
Mm-hmm. David, Gustavo, have you been finding yourselves using this more than Nemo has at all?
It's still fun with Gonskos if you go second. You can usually position them far enough back to still be able to get it off going second. And then if you're going first, you just like keep them there. So it still has some use with them, but yeah, I've also been taking the Nemo interpretation of it doesn't work until I've heard otherwise.
I
For
do think
turn 1
it's
sticky.
I do think this is a fun group in terms of like which rules we all end up agreeing on. Like, yeah, who needs to make orders? Oh, but no, we can't do the sticky one. Oh, but Kasrkin though, you never know. Anyway, Dave, we're gonna come right
I
on
think
back
we tend to be a bit more rules as written,
in
and
general,
just go
yeah.
from there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole conversation there that I'm choosing not to get into right now. Dave, we're going to come right on back to you. Veteran sharpshooters, 1 CP during your shooting phase. Astromotarm unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot, it gets ignores cover. This sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's just 1 CP flat math boost. Run the math before you use the strat, or just already have it memorized, and then if it lets you kill the target, use it. If it doesn't, don't.
Yeah.
Stacks with Aquilon's Eye, that's cute. So you like get AP and ignores cover before you have to shoot stuff, whereas before you'd have to do like the Hellhound and then the Exterminator and then the real target. So if you're still having Victrix be a real thing in your meta after the nerf they're inevitably going to receive, it lets you get all the boosts on the target before they shoot them instead of having to wait until after.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just math for CP.
Just math.
So it's never bad. It's never like a cool trick. It's just math.
Gustavo, we have more math coming right your way with Purging Fire. 1 CP, your shooting phase, same timing. 1 Astromotarm unit from your army that is affected by an order. If we are within range of an objective order, we get lethal hits.
It's just good on Cadian Bricks, good on Dorns, good on Scions.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 1 CP, play combined arms. Which is good. It can't be bad.
Yeah.
It's even better than that because like your Kasrkin can lethal a Rhino, which they couldn't combine.
And Cadians can lethal demons and tanks and shit.
Yeah. Oops. You're totally fine. Cool. Let's go ahead and come over to Nemo for even more math. 1 CPU, your shooting phase, an Astromotarm unit affected by first rank fire, second rank fire till the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack, improve the strength characteristic of that attack by 1.
So I will say up front that I have not been playing a lot of lists where the math of this is relevant. Because like Lasgun's 3 to 4 is like cool. I'd rather have lethal, right? I'd rather have lethal than be wounding on 4s instead of 5s. And rarely when you're shooting at something you want to double down on them. What I will say as like a joke, but also a very real thing, is I think it's a really good sign that this is probably the weakest stratagem in the detachment. It's like it's still good. It's still going to be relevant. It's still going to make breakpoints that you care about. But like there is better CP economy here for the detachment to be going after, right? Ignores cover, lethal hits, issue order reactive, and then the one we'll talk about in a second are all awesome, right? But I think the cool thing between like the whole stratagem package we kind of just went over between those three is, as Gustavo said, it kind of eliminates the combined aspect, which I think is the real hidden thing that makes the detachment really strong, is because a lot of these like, you know, kind of not optimal but still decent tech pieces that Combine was kind of forced to play out of necessity don't really have to be played anymore. And so there's a lot of extra points that these three stratagems collectively kind of let you skimp out on that you didn't have to before.
I think one of the biggest things for me looking at the Mordian minute and the +1 strength is that almost always lethal hits is going to be better than +1 to wound against the things that you'd want it for, because going from wounding on 5s to wounding on 4s is like, it does matter, right? But lethal hits does more. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. The one breakpoint where it is like actually better is if you can do better than 4s. So if you are a hotshot volley gun enjoyer with Scions, it is good there because 4 to 5 is officially now you're wounding Marines on 3s. That is, I haven't done a lot of math, but that's one of the few ones I've done where I've realized that +1 strength is actually better. It is nice that you have this stratagem to just double down with lethals for when you really need something to die. But I don't think that's going to frequently be the case because you're going to do this, you know, like Cadians into infantry or something similar. And the Cadian bricks, as we all know and love, are going to murder most of the infantry things they already shoot at. They don't need a whole lot more extra help than what they already have.
Yeah.
So
I used it once, which was I was playing against Necron Warriors. And I just popped all 3 stratagems on the Cadian brick, just trying to kill as many as possible.
Did you kill it?
I left like 2 alive.
That's pretty good. That's
But
pretty
it didn't
good.
matter at that point. You
Yeah.
like pushed them back.
Totally fair. All right, last one, Gustavo. You've talked about this one a lot and how important additional armor is. 1 CP, your opponent's shooting phase. An Astra Militarum unit from your army that was selected as a target does not need to be affected by a given order. Armor of Contempt. You've been saying your Adorns have been living a lot longer because people are just not shooting them.
I just tell my opponent he's got AOC, and most people are like, he's saving on threes against my last cannons. I just won't bother. It's also 1 CP, play recon for your infantry, basically. Yeah, it's a good durability boost, and a lot of the times it just does its thing without even using it, because it just dissuades people from actually committing into you.
Now, there is one important thing here. It does say until the end of the phase. For everybody who is watching, it definitely does get caught up by the FAQ or balanced status slate or whatever it was that changed it. It does only work against one activation. We do not have better AOC than Space Marines, as cool as that would be. Nice. I mean, this
40 other things that are better than Space Marines.
we have other
Gotta live with
things.
this one.
Yeah, I think in general,
Life 15 Victrix card.
yeah, we'll see when we get the Solar or the Ultramar Exilia coming out. I'm sure is going to happen at some point. David, let's go ahead and come back to you. What are the thoughts on this stratagem package?
You will be able to spend literally infinity CP in this detachment. So you need to be responsible about it, because if not, you'll waste all your command points on like 2% damage boosts and not on the like duty and honor in your opponent's end of fight phase or beginning of fight phase that like wins you the game. So be careful how you spend it. Play your Creed, play your Leontis, I guess. But like, you want CP boosting, you want Voxcasters. Yeah, no, don't play Leo. And actually think about if it's worth it. Otherwise, you'll spend 3 CP to add damage to a Rhino that was already dead.
Yeah.
And then just lose on it.
Gus, what have you been using most of your CP on?
Snap to it. Like, every turn. Multiple times sometimes.
Multiple times, yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes just +1 to hit is good for consistency since you're rerolling ones. I'm like, I really need that Rhino to die. So I'm just going to give it first rank fire and take aim to some Kasrkin, and maybe it'll die. It's also nice to have stratagems, finally. Because in Combined I was playing with Grenade, Overwatch, and Tank Shock. And sometimes swap an order, basically.
Do you miss just having access to grenades every turn because we had the CP for it?
Like, I added Ursula back into my lists because of that, just to have more CP.
Nemo, what are your thoughts?
I did really like having my Bane Blades give my infantry cover for a CP. That was a pretty good strategy. It's gonna be weird not to have that.
It's gonna be a weird one.
In all honesty. No, I think, just talking through it, right? Like, it's possible to spend like 15 command points a turn with the stratagem package. It's pretty silly, and it's also why I was calling Morty Minute like the worst stratagem, right? It's like you look at it and you're like, cool, but you got so many better things to use, man.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that we're talking about when we were going through the enhancement package too is this detachment inherently leans itself to a more mid-table bully aspect of guard, right? You're considering things like Bullgryn, and you're considering things like a few more Rough Riders than normal because they use this detachment really well. And so it's also notable that you're going to have to be saving a few more CP than we're usually used to on that aspect of the game. Right? Things like charge rules, things like being able to shift that unit to OC if it doesn't kill the unit it charges into. And I think for people who are used to the more like backline tank guard, like slow lurching tide forward aspect of guard that sometimes exists, that's not really an element people have to deal with. And I think that's going to boil down to, you can tell we're all leaning one way, but that's definitely going to boil down to, is it Ursula or is it Leontis?
Yeah.
Right? Because the CP economy that this detachment needs is not 10 plus 5 Voxcasters. It's even more than that.
Yeah.
So you gotta make something.
You've already touched on it. I wanted to get a brief thing because I've seen a lot of people, especially on like Discord and Reddit, who have been pushing for Lord Solar Leontis. And Gus, as soon as David touched on it, you just were like, nope, that's not the way to do it. Why are we still leaning towards Creed over Leontis at this time?
So Leontis is more expensive and less CP. And I want more CP. It's just how it is. Also, you lose the option to just discard cards for CP sometimes. Sometimes you don't hit your Voxcaster rolls and you just discard a card. And yeah, I don't think his melee is relevant for 45 more points. The
We are
redeploy is
playing
okay.
off the assumption that after the data slate, those two are still going to be 45 more points apart. Because, I mean, to be fair, if we look at guard lists, Ursula does kind of deserve to go up a few points, and Leontis does kind of deserve to go down a few. If those things were to happen, I could see the Leontis argument.
Yeah.
But
I
otherwise,
remember.
I think I agree. It's a clear winner.
Ursula will have to go up a lot.
Yeah.
Fair. I remember during the
Yeah, she
index,
might.
like Leontis was everywhere, partly because we were just super strapped for squadron orders, right? We wanted a lot of squadron orders, we just didn't have any other access to them other than Lord Solar. But not only has that been fixed in the codex, it gets even further fixed in this detachment where suddenly our Dorn commanders and Lehman Russ commanders have 3 orders each, right? Like we don't need the extra orders that Leontis has, but having the redeploy it's not nothing. It is there, so there are some things you could do with it maybe in a team's environment.
I missed the
And
most important thing,
Hmm?
which is if you bring Leontis, he now does order all 4 of your Bane blades.
all I'm saying is layout 3, sweeping engagement, supply drop, 4 Bane Blades.
4
Mm.
Bane blades.
4 main plays. If you know you're doing that every single time, NTL pairings, baby. That's what we're all about. I do want to get one other thought before we start talking about a couple of the fun pieces that are in this. Obviously, I have asked you guys to be here because you're pretty darn good guard players. You guys have had a history of getting a lot of wins. What are your expectations for this for people who are not already, people who are getting podiums at events? I'm not going to lie, when I looked at this, I think it's hard to play. And David, I'm going to come to you first because you haven't gotten as many games on it.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of what I said at the start of like, you're going to waste your CP on things. And then after the game, you're going to think like, damn, I didn't need to say grenade at that person. I could have done this insane play with like order swapping a Bullgryn over to stealth to keep him alive and then back to duty and honor to kill the Marines or whatever. Like, you need to plan way more in advance about how you're going to spend your CP. And even the strats with like needing to make sure you have the order in place for the strat you might want to use, like all that is significantly higher skill than combined arms, which had strats that almost felt like the opposite of like, oh damn, I forgot to do this. Order, share, move. Okay, we're good. We fixed it. So it's like I kind of gone in the opposite direction, like more planning necessary, less do whatever. That being said, reroll ones into everything is much easier to deal with than I have to shoot my big stuff at your big stuff, my small stuff at your small stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's less susceptible to my skew being the opposite of the enemy skew.
Yeah. Gus, you're next. Do you think this is going to be easier or harder for most players?
I think the difference we combined is 2 things. So, first of all, is the CP management. Like David said, it's very easy to just waste all your CP on useless strats at the wrong moment. And the second, compared to combine, is actually reinforcements. If that's weird, because I feel like when you lose units accidentally, having that 1 extra unit for free helps you clean up some mistakes sometimes.
Nemo?
It's weird because like I agree like fully with what David and Gustavo just said. But there is in essence a lot more of a crutch in this detachment to like lean back on. Like most of the lists I've seen are dropping an entire Rogaldorn tank commander. That's a huge burden to lift, right? To not have to play 2 to feel good about your tank orders. The fact that I think it is. I think it is. The fact that every single officer issues an extra order, like, is awesome for your order economy. Scion command squads are self-sufficient, right? Like, you can get away with just 1 Cadian brick most of the time to issue almost your entire army, when it comes to regiment. And I also think the fact that most of the lists I've seen that people have been liking aren't having to run those support pieces anymore. No more. There's not a whole lot of exterminators and hellhounds, at least the list I'm seeing. It's more of like an elite infantry package where it's more just raw damage being chucked at people. I think that's a really big hurdle to overcome, to not have to have those restrictions placed on you, because it's way more generous with list building. And so what I think that boils down for me at the end of the day is, as long as your list is optimized or tuned to a certain extent, this is going to feel better. But if you're just doing the thing that all guard players do, where they're like herder, tank, 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 thing I like to play, it's gonna feel a lot worse, you know. And so
I
I
do
think
feel
if you're,
personally attacked.
yeah, I'm specifically calling out David here.
There was a reason why I had it was going to be either David or Nick Gigello as like my tank player, my infantry player, and the Gustavo who's somewhere in the middle, you know.
But that's also not to like say tanks are bad. That's to say if you're like, I don't know why I'm playing this, I just like this model. Those lists are going to do significantly better in combined because combined does have better crutches in that aspect. But this detachment for sure has better lean back and fallback safeties. If your list is actually built to play a normal competitive game of 40k.
Fair enough. Now I want to go off of that a little bit because you're talking about things that people are bringing stuff they just enjoy playing. And Gustavo, you know what? A lot of people on Reddit really like playing Indirect.
Indirect.
People love their artillery over on Reddit. I have not had a chance to play with it because I just play like a combined arms list, just copy pasted. Have you been playing any Indirect, and what's been your experience with it?
So I used to play mortars in Bridgehead, like I think everyone, and they were alright. Just killed the backfill screens. Here, they're not really opening holes for Scions to land. Their damage is not that good, and they're expensive. Like I can see you taking it and it being just fine, but I don't think it'll make the cut on the best lists personally.
What have you
I've
tried so
tried a
far?
few games with it, didn't feel impressive.
What versions have you tried? Has it been like field arms batteries or mortars, or what have you tried?
Double field ordnance. I tried 3 mortars. I tried just 1 field ordnance to sit back there, and all 3 felt like I'd rather have a Kasrkin squad or a Kasrkin squad plus transports instead of this.
Now, Nemo, you were saying that you were expecting this detachment to be more about a midboard brawl. Does that have any room for Indirect in it?
So I'm still debating what that looks like for singles versus teams. I will say in the teams practice games I've done where I've gone to practice first defend pick a matchup. I think the triple artillery team one field and ordnance battery version of indirect guard is nice, like really nice. Because it hits it's just under 400 points, so you're giving up about a tank and some change, which isn't nothing. But that package when you go triple siege cannon and field runs battery is just enough where you can kill pretty much any rhino or smaller chassis off of an objective with like 90% plus efficiency. And so being able to look at your world leader's opponent and be like, no, your rhino's dead. Your jackals are dead. Whatever you put on your home is dying every single turn the entire game. That is a cool package to have. It's the same with for most other armies, right? Your transports, your chaff, I'm going to kill it. You need to give me 2 more units, and you need to do that on every objective you have. Otherwise, I'm just going to shell you off of it. I think that's where it stops. I think the only worlds where you see more than that is if artillery is so efficient in this detachment that people just start playing 1,500 points of it, and then 3 months from now, artillery will no longer be efficient because it will get the mortar treatment where we'll go up 30% in points. So.
I'm just gonna say, David, before we come to you, if we are in an artillery meta once again, I'm gonna take a break. I'm just simply not gonna play for the next data slate. So let's see how that ends up going. I really hope it doesn't end up coming to that. But David, what are your thoughts on Indirect, having not played it yet?
Triple siege cannon, Aquilin's Eye seems gross.
But they're hitting on 5s.
That wouldn't work. You have to be within 12.
Oh, that's also true.
Yeah, but you can't ignore cover them.
Yeah,
that's good.
You can ignore cover 1.
And then roll 1 on the shot.
And then Ursula reroll it, baby.
Ready to do another one.
Yeah, like one of the ways that I build guard lists is just like make my opponent come out and let me hit them first. And Indirect does force that. So anytime I can play it, I will be the disgusting anti-Joshi and just play it because it just forces my opponent into a high pressure situation while I'm not in one.
Yeah.
And this seems close enough that it's worth looking at.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Something I thought with the artillery cannons is they're on huge bases. So for some terrain, it'll be hard to hide all of them.
They're actually pretty durable.
But they do screen, and they are sentinels. They are T7, like 7 wounds or whatever.
Yeah, they have
but we can give them stealth.
But it's just like everything we've seen with like guard is we've all learned as an idea, right? Is no one unless you're insane is like, here's my 6 Dorn build, right? It's like you can do that. It's not good because guard is the definition of a combined arms, take 2 to 3 of every good thing and just play a normal game. I think anyone who's trying to go above like 400-ish points of artillery, you're going to have the same issues that happen when you take 6 Dorns, right? Is you're going to play against a list that's really good at tagging your Dorns. You're going to play against a list that's really good at rushing your artillery. And they're not playing against a 2,000 point tank guard list. They're playing against a 1,000 point tank guard list. And that is a thing a whole lot of armies can answer. So
Yeah. One of the big things for me that I've said about Indirect a couple of times before is that the entire theory of Indirect being good is, can I kill enough of your army on turns 1 and 2, especially if I go first, that you can't play the game anymore? And I think this might cross over that threshold of putting enough pressure on your opponent. It's all going to be really dependent. It's going to be dependent a lot on your local meta. Like, are people playing the rhinos for your artillery teams to kill? Are they playing marines, like just marine bodies for your field arms batteries to kill? Did you hit the right matchups where the indirect is good? And that's going to change a lot depending on where you live, if you're playing on WTC, Games Workshop, or God forbid, UKTC terrain. And then we can kind of go from there. But anyway, Gustavo, having just blasted you, I do want to come over to one of your favorite units you've been playing quite a bit recently, I know. Scions. Obviously, they've become a lot more self-sufficient because they drop in, they give themselves 2 orders immediately, you take the command rod. Scions, tell me more about what you've been doing with them.
So I tried 15 mans, I tried 10 mans. They just worked really well on this detachment because before, as you said, you have to jump through a lot of hoops to try and get both orders on them. To get rerolls on them, you have to have a Scout Sentinel. To get ignore cover on them, you have to have a Hellhound. So it's all the support pieces were extra points on an already expensive unit. Whereas now they just rapid ingress or drop and shoot. Very simple. Just do their job really well. And they also add something to guard that I've been missing for a while, which is deep strike. Forcing people to screen their backfield is relevant, so they're not playing 2,000 points against your 2,000 points. They're playing a bit less. Yeah, I've just really enjoyed them in this detachment.
David, I know that there's a constant conversation right now between the Command Squad +5 versus Command Squad +10, and you had some pretty strong opinions on taking the Command Squad +5, I think.
Yeah, there's so many times where 15 models don't fit somewhere that 10 do, especially on little 25 mil bases. Like, there's so many times my opponent has thought they've screened out, and then I tell them, like, no, actually, I can fit here, here, or here in these weird little Jenga lines. And then your opponent either has to give you one of those openings to close the other 2, or just realize they can't hold them. Without the 6-inch drop like we had in Bridgehead, 15s just can't quite do that. And you're not really getting that much more. You're paying the same points you paid for the 5, for the 10, and you're not getting extra melee. You're not getting that much extra shooting. So it makes it harder for you to use them unless you're ingressing them. And it doesn't add that much damage in a unit that already is suffering from expense.
Nemo, what's your experience been?
I think the Scion package, I think I'm in the middle, to be honest. I think I like the idea of 1 and then stop there when it comes to 15s. Just because the 15 hits some real nice breakpoints into a lot of the current things in the meta. With Ignore's cover, it will pick up the large majority, if not all, of like a 20-man brick of Marines for like World Eaters, which is usually an annoying matchup sometimes. And then also into Victrix in particular, if you again pop Ignore's cover, it's pretty darn good into Victrix as a 15. The extra plasma gun and 3 las guns are pretty nice into fixing that. I think when we were mathing it out earlier, is you're like 60-ish% to kill the entire squad of Victrix or something like crazy. That doesn't feel like it should be the case. And so that is a tool I think the current meta needs. But on a strictly like math standpoint of like efficiency versus points spent, 3 10s is where I'd like to be. So it's going to come down to, I think, the data slate for what I actually start testing versus leaving at home.
We're obviously doing all this before we know the points, but Gustavo, before we continue talking about that, do we feel like this is a volley gun or a melta meta for our Scions?
I've been running 10 mans with volley guns
Mhm.
and 15 mans with meltas or with volley guns. I'm not sure yet. But with melta guns, it's what Nemo said is specifically to answer Victrix Guard. Just have a button where you go, delete this problematic squad. Okay, that's not a
Yeah.
problem anymore.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Aquilin Eye, I think is the plus AP enhancement? I mean, it seemed very good to me. Like you take two Scion squads, you drop them next to each other, they both go first rank fire, second rank fire, and the plus AP order. That seems like a really strong combination for just having two units that just come in and kill God.
I like that you can play this detachment as Ghetto Bridgehead. Just like Bridgehead, but not quite.
Yeah.
People have been mathing on the Discord the Aquila 9 into like Victrix Guard, and it looks pretty good if you have the plus AP into with ignore cover at
Yeah.
deleting the squad.
And don't forget
Notably-
plunging fire if you have tall enough room.
Yes, David beat me to it. No, but actually, notably, your unit that can kill God should really only be receiving these buffs if your goal is to kill another God, right? And so that is to say, unless you are worried about exclusively Victrix Honor Guard, you probably shouldn't have it, in my opinion, because a 15 mana Science will kill pretty much every other thing in the game that they shoot at, besides like a Questor's Knight.
Totally fair.
As long as it's on an
Invest 3 CP.
objective.
Yeah, if you spend a couple CP, especially. I do want to pivot a little bit away from some of the shooting stuff and start talking about the melee. Unfortunately, we don't have Clifton here, but David, as the honorary Clifton, I suppose. Melee guard, we have Bullgryn Rough Riders getting a lot of extra glow ups here. Twos reroll ones into sometimes twos reroll ones with the Melta Lances. I mean, you played a lot more Rough Riders than I did. What was the experience there?
So they already kill basically anything they collide with that doesn't have an invuln. So if it's no invuln, it was already dead the second you said Rough Riders anywhere near it. What it's doing is probably handing them like one extra chance to fail a 4-up invuln save, and giving you much easier access to order swapping. So I think the real actual benefit for them is you can move them, order swap to fix bayonets without having to use like a Gaunt's Ghost or a Scion or a Castellan Brick Drop. So the rerolls is just kind of neat. The big thing is better order management on them. Bullgryn, they're just the tankiest thing in the world, and they hit on twos, and your opponent is gonna cry every time you say my Bullgryn hit on twos.
Reroll
They
ones.
did when we played. Yeah. They did when we did it with
Better than
Solar. They're gonna
Custodies.
do it again. Yeah. Every Custodes player is gonna cry when I tell them the Bullgryn stat line.
Yeah. Now, Gustavo, I imagine you've been playing a lot with this. Have you been feeling that melee guard is one? Does it have a place? And two, is it like how good is it?
So Rough Riders, I'm not the right person to ask. I can't make them work. I've tried. I swear I've tried. It's the first thing I cut. So I think Nemo will tell you better about them. But Bullgryn,
Yeah.
oh, they're so good. The twos rolling ones, threes rolling ones into Marines, they're just. I'm charging melee armies and I'm winning. Like they can't kill me. I kill them better than they kill me, and they're the melee army.
I mean, you go from averaging like the usual 12 wounds that Bullgryn used to do to like 19, 20. It's an insane
Yeah,
upgrade.
and the consistency, of course, that you know that's super consistent. You're going to get this number of saves. Whereas before, sometimes, I rolled a bit too many twos again. I don't have that many wounds.
Yeah. I think the
I
other
will say
thing.
with the-
Go
oh,
ahead. I was gonna say the Commissar just having like 3 extra Power Fist attacks is like because they're still hitting on 4s reroll one, no 3s reroll ones. I think for all of the Power Fist attacks, like it's not nothing. It's like an extra Power Fist in a unit for 50 points on top of all the other stuff is not bad, but you do have to be kind of careful there. I do want to briefly go because we are getting close to the time where I wanted to start doing Q&A. We'll do it now. King R Dude asks, is there any viability to using the Commissar with the enhancement to give orders to Ogryn and Bullgryn, attaching them to Ogryn and giving the Ogryn a useless order just for the rerolls? No.
Wouldn't the order you always give them just be hit better?
No, because you can only do bayonets and duty and honor.
Yeah, but Ogryn still fight. Like,
Yeah, but I guess
Yeah.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that Ogryn make the cut unless they receive some form of love.
I tried the
it's-
Ogryn
yeah.
6-man, and you just can't get it to the right place. They're just walking 6 too slow.
That's totally fair. I was thinking it was one of those things that looked kind of interesting, especially because you can get it like AP2 or if you have like exterminators or something up to AP3, but totally fair. So I just want to take a couple of minutes here. What are your favorite packages? Starting with Nemo, what has been your favorite package of things that you weren't playing in combined? I guess you weren't really playing combined, but things that you weren't playing before, really thinking about, they are now making the cut for Grizzled.
On WTC, I have played about 5 or 6 games of 18 Bullgryn, 30 Rough Riders, 20 Death Riders. So the
That
melee
sounds
guard
fun.
package.
Hmm.
It is so good. It's so good. Because like I was gonna mention it when David said it earlier, but like it's like yes, the average of 10 Rough Riders is like 7 wounds if you're twos and twos, but it's also true that one deviation of a low roll is like 4. Right? Like you roll 3 1s to hit, you roll 2 1s to wound, and you're like, dang, that sucks. And so going from like a 60% wound ratio to like a 97 means most of the time the average is no, my ten are 10. Um, and so as long as you are charging first and your stuff is fighting a lot of the time, you're just killing whatever you collide into, and it's so nice.
Nice. Gustavo, same question.
For me, it's the Scions. They're just a lot smoother to use here. No hoops, no headaches.
Totally fair. David, you haven't had as many games, but what's something that you really want to test that you weren't willing to play before?
Lehman, Russ, Vanquisher. Hits on 2s, reroll 1s. Full wound rerolls. This thing's amazing.
Totally fair.
Actually, other answer is just Rogolorn commanders. They get the enhancement that I was already giving them in combined for free, and they both have it. That's just amazing for tank guard. Before I was playing 1 and having to do all these convoluted messes to get to the 7 or 6 orders I needed. Now I just put 2 Dorns in and I have them. And then my 3 Vanquishers also get the orders, and my 1 Exterminator, whatever. So just having the squadron order economy for free is very exciting.
Well, as a relative, like as our current tank enjoyer, you did mention it as kind of a meme, but super heavies now 3s reroll 1s. Is there any play here, David?
Is there any play? Yes. I mean, honestly, it depends so much on your terrain. Like, the first step for Bane Blades is, can I leave my deployment zone with it? And I've played in events where it looked like I could, but then I got put on the one table where I couldn't, and I just cried. So before it even theoretically becomes viable, you can't be on WTC, you can't be on some of the GWs. If you're like on layout 1 search and destroy, just go home. Assuming you can go places with them, maybe. It starts to depend on how much does that T13 help, and how much does that armor contempt help. I think they have the same problem they always have, which is a Dorn is just so much more efficient for the points.
Yeah.
So you're already unkillable, as Gustavo was saying. Like with Armor of Contempt and a Dorn, they're never going to fire at it. So why get the extra?
Because
they are more viable than they were in combined.
In European terrain, I can't even deploy them most games.
Damn, that's sad. That's really sad to hear.
We're talking GW only for sure, I think.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing.
Only.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing a couple of games with them, probably on TTS, just because it's been so long since I brought my Storm Sword out of retirement. Honestly, I'd probably like try the Baneblade first, because when you're just like split firing like 3s, reroll 1s into every target that you can think of, like it's interesting. Is it going to be at top tables? Probably not. There's going to be like 1 or 2 people like Robert Moreland or like Clifton Russell who are going to be giving a try. But outside of like a couple of small names, I don't expect it to be making any real waves. Blake Jones got a couple 4-1s with Baneblades recently, so shout out to him. We'll see if you can do anything cool. I know Nemo's got to go in about 10-ish minutes, so I want to take some time to get some questions from people on YouTube who are asking. We already talked about artillery. All right, let's just start with Disco Chicken 40K asks, we'll come to Nemo first. Do you feel the detachment is a band-aid over internal balance of the book? Would you take this over fixing underused data sheets?
It's such an awesome username.
Yeah, Disco Chicken.
Yeah, Disco Chicken. This isn't a guard thing. This is like a design philosophy thing. And the reality is that it is safer a lot of the time than risking a datasheet becoming broken from like a balancing standpoint, right? It's a lot easier to like be like, yeah, we're gonna give this army 3 tools that we know are good, 1 tool that's something they already have but a bit of an upgrade, and then 2 or 3 new things, right?
Mm.
It's a lot easier to do that than be like, yeah, guys, Rust Stalkers are now AP2. Because one of those things fully just destroys a meta, right? And it's, sometimes they screw up. Sometimes you have DACA, sometimes you have Yanari. That happens. But the reality is it is safer because when you combine buffs on data sheets with buffs on points, you very quickly turn into units that turn insane out of nowhere. And again, anyone who's like, what's he talking about? Look at AdMech and how they've been doing recently. It's crazy, right? And that's an example of taking that form of balanced approach to fixing the game. So I prefer this, even if it leads to bloat, which it is heavy bloat as the edition comes on, but it is good, I think.
All right. David, next one is the closest we have to the representative horse Lando. Ines Wilson 686 asks 30 or 60 horse.
I wonder who this could be. So if you are going full horse Lando, 30 Rough Riders just necessary. That will just do all your damage. I think Death Riders are better as 5s than 10s, so I think you're going 30 plus 15, 3x5, if you want to do that. But also, if you want to go full horse Lando, the number is 62. You got to get your Solar and your Dryer in there leading. Like,
There
you're
you
going to
go.
be the meme. If you're going to try and build horse heavy, 45.
45, totally fair. All right, Gustavo, coming back to you. Andrew Black asks, what overlooked units might be worth using this detachment? I feel like we've talked about that fairly extensively. How many orders are too many? Is this detachment you seem to swim in them?
Yeah, I just have infinite orders. I just had this gets an order, this gets an order, this gets an order. I don't even need to think about it.
You don't think about it? Do you
About
ever feel like
overlooked
you are
units.
cutting officers because you no longer need them?
Well, not really, because officer units are just good anyways. Like a 25, I see a Rogel Dawn Commander as a 25 upgrade over a regular Dawn, where I just get more rerolls. And I want the blank or do I want the rerolls? I'm not really considering orders anymore in list building because you just have all the orders you need just from building a guard list, really.
And also, notably, our detachment rule is insane. Our detachment rule requires you to be ordered. I think you always want to be on the safe side than risk a World Eaters player YOLOing, killing one of your only brick of officer orders you took, and then not having detachment rule or orders for the entire game.
Yeah.
Or half your strats.
Yeah.
All right, Nemo. What version? Or Andrea Cornaglia 3066 asks, what version of Lehman Russ is the best? This is not a David question.
No Lehman
Sorry.
Russ. So in the list that I've been playing, I think the battle tank is like the best, but not in this detachment. I'm Team Vanquisher. I think the Eradicator, Executioner, Demolisher, Punisher are still in the horrible tiers of being awful. So I think you're debating between Exterminator or Vanquisher, and I'm Team Vanquisher personally. I don't really like the Exterminator as much, especially not in this detachment.
Oh, interesting.
You didn't even say Demolisher. Didn't even make the F tier.
I did say Demolisher, didn't I?
Oh, you did?
Maybe.
I thought I said Demolisher, Punisher, Exterminator, and Eradicator.
Oh, I might have just gotten confused by all the E names.
All good, all good.
Pulverizer is the best.
Yeah.
Pulverizer?
Pulverizer, clearly the best. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Just Data Slate make him a P2. What could go wrong?
Yeah. All right. Well, I know since Nemo has to leave fairly soon, I want to get David's question in relatively quickly here. And David, you say that every single one of these roundtables you want to do, you have a question. You want to ask it to the class?
Oh yeah. Why not just play combined arms?
Because I have rerolls. That's it.
I'm too busy playing Recon as the
Why not play Recon? Because I want to have fun.
I will say, this is my maybe me saying something I shouldn't. But if Recon doesn't get nerfed to this data slate, I am probably not swapping to this. But that's because Recon is so unhealthily broken if you're willing to put reps into it. So
yeah. Gustavo, you said because the rerolls, could you give a little bit more insight as to why you are liking this over combined?
So with guards, sometimes it's really frustrating. Like your damage is just inconsistent sometimes, and anything that helps you fix that is just good quality of life, I think, and just nice to have. Also, I'm so bored of combined. I don't want to play another game of combined. That's it. I'm just swapping.
This inherently gives a lot more control over your games as a player, right? There's a lot more like, oh, my unit, or sorry, a lot less. Oh, my unit rolled 3 1s, shucks, that there isn't combined. We said it earlier, but there's a lot more like,
Consistency.
yeah, there's a lot more fallbacks in like combined with like the revive and some other stuff, right? But like this detachment, if you are just not making silly mistakes, you are going to have a lot more control and being in the driver's seat comparative to combined.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious then. So let's say like a month from now, by the end of January, let's say, what percentage of or like what ratio of GT wins with guard do you think are going to be on combined versus on grizzled? Let's go to Gustavo actually, because you seem very excited about this.
I think there's a part of the guard player base that will just not swap and just keep playing index forever. So I'd say maybe like 40% this, 30% combined, and then 30% something
Nemo.
else. Some made up stuff like mechanized.
Oh god.
David, same question. What do you think the ratio is going to be looking like in about a month?
I think in January it's going to be almost entirely grizzled because all of us are so sick of combined. If recon is nerfed, then it will actually be 100% grizzled. By the time grizzled is like worn down, I think it's honestly just a coin flip between the two. Where grizzled probably comes out like 60-40 ahead, just because you lose those insane Rube Goldberg machines you had to go through. You just get to shoot them with the gun, and the gun is a little bit better.
Yeah.
So probably grizzled ahead, but I think they're functionally interchangeable.
Fair. Nemo, same question.
I wasn't gonna make the joke, but after David made it, I do like it how every time you do your guard weekly reviews, you're like, notice how our win rate's high this weekend. Also notice that Nemo and John Winter Russell and Nassim were playing this weekend.
Look,
Something like
that's
that.
kind of what happened this weekend. Like there were so many, if not necessarily like I said like the Pantheon was like there weren't a lot of the Pantheon playing, but there's still like okay, well everybody I know who was like won a GT before, like half of them were playing this weekend. It's not a surprise we're above 50%.
Yeah. I think inherently, right? You can look to stat check for this, but stat check has a whole thing where they're like, it's like 90% of GT winners are like top 100 players, right? It's like some, I forget the exact number, but it's some like insane number, because the reality is like to be able to consistently win a GT or like do very good things, you do inherently have to be on a good list, a good player doing good things, right? And so I think in that respect, I think Grizzled is inherently the better detachment. And so I would expect that the people who are doing better things and are good players and are being better overall are going to end up being the high level Grizzled Company players. Um, and so I think I personally, if we're talking just the two, so adding up to 100%, I would imagine closer to 75-25 for Grizzled to combined. Ninth edition had a very similar thing with this with Iron Hands and Imperial Fists. Imperial Fists was not bad. It was a very good, like heavy gun lined bolter based army. Iron Hands was just better. And Imperial Fists had a small win rate, and Iron Hands was just murdering the meta, right? And the reality is that all of the players playing Iron Hands could have been playing Imperial Fists, and they probably still would have been winning their GT. But the reality is that those top 100 grinders who want to take a really good detachment, optimize it perfectly, and just kill people with it, I would expect those type of sweats of players are going to choose Grizzled.
Yeah. All
You've
right.
got to remember though, Wesley, we're guard players. There's going to be the weirdo John Winter Russell on mech. Someone's going to try and make siege work.
Yeah.
Like,
and then half of
we're
us
just-
are busy chugging glue. Yeah, I get it.
All right, I got
yes.
two things I want to give. Firstly, we'll give a quick question to everyone, the same one, and then we'll ask for some quick hot takes at the very end. We'll end with Wesley because he always has something absolutely bonkers to say. Gustavo, coming over to you, what tier in terms of the strength do you think this detachment is going to be for tournament play?
Probably A tier.
Is that like
I
a mid
guess.
A tier or like high?
Yeah, especially if the top contenders get nerfed, I think we have good place in the meta, honestly. And the better you are with guard, the higher
Mhm.
or more you can do with it, really.
Nemo, same question. What tier are we going to be in? What tier is this detachment?
Um, I I think points will matter more than the detachment. I think going off current knowledge with current things we have, um, in my mindset, guard is mid A. I think this is better than that, so I'd say we're close to high A. Yeah.
Fair. David?
S tier, cue the air horns. You should never lose a game again.
Nobody
Let's
will
go,
ever lose
everybody.
again. All right, we got like a very little bit of time. David, give me one more hot take about this detachment, and then we'll not respond to it. We're just gonna go around. I see
One
Nemo
more hot
thinking.
take. Just sit your vanquishers out in the open. Armor of Contempt, heavy 2/3 rolling ones, kill everything. That's it.
Nice,
Super
Gustavo.
simple.
Guard is a melee army.
Guard is a melee RV. That's a good hot take. Nemo.
That's a good one. That was close to what mine was going to be. Now it's that my hot takes were all correct, and you should listen to what I said.
Great minds
I
think
said
alike.
mortars were good in Bridgehead, and I said Bridgehead was going to break the meta, and no one believed me.
All right, fair enough, everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming out. David, Gustavo, Wesley St. Hines. There's all kinds of stuff. If you're not already part of the Discord, make sure you hit me up somewhere, Reddit, Discord. Come find me. Send me the password. It's going to be changed. It used to be Rough Riders. We're going to do Grizzled Company for the next couple of weeks and see where it goes from there. David, Gustavo, Wesley, thank you again so much for coming out. Thank you guys, everybody, so much for watching. We will see you guys all next week. We will not see you next week. I will see you guys later on. These guys will be doing some other stuff. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys all next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.